Hey guys, I'm Dan with the ReGloss team. This is our beginner series for using ReGloss, our Pro Series Formula Resin Pro. And this is everything that you need to know about doing a car. If it's your first car, second car, third car, it's key that you watch this whole series from start to finish. I'm going to go over everything in the 5-step process. We're going to focus a lot on application. We're going to be doing a customer's Audi Q5, which is a phenomenal candidate for ReGloss. So in this series, I'm going to show you the wet sanding, the degreasing, the taping, the chemical bath, and then of course the application and the cure time. It's going to be broken up into videos. So if you've bought a kit or you are buying sets and wanting to add this service on, no matter if you're doing it at home by yourself on your own vehicle or you're thinking about adding this to your business or starting a business with ReGloss, it's key that you watch this beginner series from start to finish, so you get that understanding of how this product works. One thing that you'll find out about this product is that it's really, really easy to use. Especially this formula is designed to be user-friendly. However, it's unlike any other product on the market. And the reason why that's important is there's a learning curve, and the steepest part of that learning curve is right at the beginning. After you do a few cars, you're gonna have a really, really solid understanding if you focus on these videos and watch some of our other videos that we're putting out on different vehicles, but you're gonna have a really good understanding of how the product actually works once it goes on the vehicle. Before we begin, I'm gonna go over a couple quick things on the vehicle and things you're gonna need beforehand in order to properly do a ReGloss job. So the first thing is 91 or 99% isopropyl alcohol. This is something I usually buy at larger quantities because I'm doing vehicles all the time. However, for the sake of this video, I went to Walmart and purchased this, as well as this acetone, also commonly referred to as nail polish remover. But we're looking for 100% acetone, which it says right there. So those are two things that you're going to want to buy. I'm going to show you how we're actually going to use this bottle. I spent $12 total on basically 2 liters of isopropyl alcohol and just a small, this is 8 ounces of acetone. And we're going to use this to make our chemical bath formula right before we apply the product. So this is going to be a really deep cleaning agent that we're going to use on the vehicle just prior to application. So one of the last steps before we apply, we're going to use this, and we're actually going to use this bottle because it comes in a perfect nearly 1 liter size. So in that video, I'm going to show you how to mix this to make that chemical bath formula, but it's key that you spend $10, $12 on 2 liters of 91% or higher isopropyl alcohol and a little bit of acetone. Like I said, 8 ounces is more than enough for the vehicle that we're doing today. This is more than enough for probably 2 or 3 vehicles. Other than the acetone and the isopropyl alcohol, you're gonna want some high quality paper towels. I highly recommend the Costco or Kirkland brand paper towels. We're gonna be using these for multiple different things throughout the process. These are really high quality. There are other options. There'll be other videos on that. But if you're in the US, Canada, Australia, Europe, you can easily source this exact paper towel. And this is a really, really high quality paper towel. And I'm going to show you why we use that later in the series. I prefer to have a face mask. You could use an N95 mask. This is a 3M kind of respirator style mask. Really good for the application phase. That's one thing that I recommend personally, not required. The fumes from the ReGloss product are, very present when you're using it. However, they do dissipate rather quickly within, I usually say 30 minutes after the application process. So it's not something that's going to affect the area you're working in. However, during the process, I think it's really nice and a good safety measure to have some type of respirator, even if it's just a standard face mask. We're also going to be using some wet sanding discs. I have a 3000 grit disc right here, as well as a 5000 in the wet sanding phase. I'm going to go over that. The ReGloss kit does include the discs that you'll need for the vehicle. However, there's a link in the bio below for these discs right off Amazon. If you are buying sets and you're wanting to source these products yourself to keep your costs down, I will show you where to get those. But these are good to have on hand for different grits, for different things you're going to come across on the vehicle. Of course, you're going to want to have your ReGloss product on hand. We have our Resin Pro, Cure Pro here. Very user-friendly, very fun product to use. It's definitely my favorite part of the entire process is using the product and applying the vehicle and seeing those changes happen right before your eyes. So in this series and all these videos, everything's leading up to us applying this awesome product and getting great results. And that's why it's important that you watch these videos so you can get the results that your customer want or you're wanting on the vehicle when you're using this product. We've gone over the basic necessities, things that you're going to need for the process. Now let's go over the actual vehicle. Now this is an actual customer car that I'm doing in the customer's garage at their location. There's a lot of different ways to use ReGloss, whether it's mobily. I do that a lot because I get a lot more customers because it's so convenient for the customer. So I'm on location in a customer's garage right now. They agreed to let me do this for a little bit of a discount. But you can also do it, of course, in a shop. If you have a detailing shop, body shop, ReGloss is an amazing upsell or service to offer, as well as a carport. If you have a carport at your house, I've done cars in carports. There's even going to be videos on doing vehicles outside and how to do that properly. But it's best to have an enclosed space. Obviously, I'm going to lead with that. So I'm going to go over this vehicle with you right now and just point out some few basic things, because this is what I do on every single vehicle, and this is what we train our technicians to do as well. You want to have an understanding before you even start on the vehicle. Has it been repainted? Has it recently had a ceramic coating applied? Most of the time that's going to be a no. This is just a basic manufacturer paint job. And like I said, this is probably, I don't know, 7, 8, maybe even 10 years old, this vehicle. So it's going to have a lot of wear and tear, just general use. So the paint, you can just see it when you look at it. It's dull. It doesn't have that shine, that luster, and that's why ReGloss is going to give it such a magnificent, increase in its visual appearance. It's also going to fix the car wash swirls that are present. A couple other areas that I'll point out. So let's start. One thing I always look at are the body lines, different body lines around the car. Now, when we get to the application and sanding videos, I'm going to point out why it's important to just kind of have an idea of where the body lines are when we apply the vehicle. So I'm kind of looking at that. I'm also looking, obviously, swirl marks, scratches. One thing that's going to be common on pretty much every job is your vehicle is going to have rock chips on it. ReGloss does not fix paint damage. It's not a paint product. It's a restoration and protection product for the finish of a vehicle. So we're refinishing this vehicle the same way you would refinish an old wooden kitchen table to get that brilliance back. After years of use at your family dinner table, we're going to refinish it and make it look amazing. That's what ReGloss does. So that's a really good way to think about it. So there's a few rock chips. A lot of people will say, should I fill them in prior to you guys doing your service? The chemicals that we use will strip that paint off. So when you talk about touch-up paint, you can fill those in after the product has cured for at least 24 hours. So rock chips is a really common thing to understand, and there's going to be a whole series on the business side of ReGloss when you're selling this. So when you show up, a customer shouldn't expect rock chips to be finished. That's kind of the main point. There's a little bit down here of a scuff mark from somewhat of a kind of hit and run type incident that the customer let us know about. There is some paint damage here, so I'm always looking for paint damage. A lot of this is going to be either completely removed or definitely significantly improved. However, I always let the customer know there is some paint damage. Sometimes it's, different scratches are able to have different degrees of, result. However, it's not going to be 100%. It is going to look significantly better. It's also going to protect it from things like rust and getting worse, essentially. Another thing I'm looking for is, where is the rubber? So right here, I notice running along the windshield, we have a rubber, kind of just piece of the vehicle. These are things I'm looking at because I know I'm going to tape these off. Rubber spreads contamination with the product, so we want to make sure we're just kind of having an eye out for different rubber. A lot of times you'll see rubber here on the windshield. Obviously, I've got some rubber right around the sunroof. So just kind of taking a visual overview inspection of the vehicle for things like rubber, chrome, things like that. If I open this door, I see I've got chrome right here. So that's another thing that we're going to talk about when we tape off the vehicle in that video. Another thing I'm looking at is these roof racks. So these actually remove. So I'm going to be removing these roof racks. This is part of the very beginning process where I just get the vehicle ready for the sanding. So those will pop right off. If I can remove them, I will. And that's really key. Another thing I'm looking at is these areas right here. Now, these are not the same as automotive paint on the panels of the vehicle. So ReGloss does not go on these types of areas. And a lot of times customers have damage here. that's not something you're going to use ReGloss to fix. You can use a polisher, you can use other tools. A lot of times you can wrap it or have it repainted, but ReGloss is not designed and will not give you a really high-end result on these areas here. One of the other things I'm looking at is stuff like this. So there's a edge protector right here on this door. So I'll be taping this off, and I'm just kind of imagining in my head how that application is going to go. So this will be taped off as well. And I'm also seeing a lot of scratches and swirls in the paint right here. Now, when you put it under light, you'll be able to see that, and maybe the camera will show it too. But I'm getting the customer excited about how this metallic paint is just going to pop and shine again. And those scratches and swirls, what would normally take you hours to polish away, are going to disappear really, really quickly with the magic of ReGloss. One more thing in the back here. I'm going to keep the badges on. So we've got a Q5 badge here. I've removed the license plate anytime the license plate is on the painted surface. And now you can see I've got a license plate border or frame right here. I'm also going to use the tool to pop that off as well. And that'll give me a really clean surface to apply ReGloss on. I'm looking at the antenna. There's no rubber seal around that antenna, so I don't have to tape that off, but it's really common that you'll see rubber around here. So the main goal here is to just take in the vehicle, go over the vehicle with your customer, or if it's your own vehicle, to understand, okay, what do I have going on? You know, kind of get yourself in the right mindset for the process coming up before you even start it. All right, that's it for the beginner series introduction video. Jump over to the next video to continue the series, and we're going to get right into working on this vehicle. If you have any questions, leave a comment below and someone from our team will definitely get back to you. You can always reach us at hello@regloss.com, or even send us a DM if you have any questions about anything we're going to talk about in this series. But just leaving a comment below this video always helps, and maybe even hit that like button for us. So I'll see you guys in the next video.